Welcome back. Now, the second phase of withdrawing troops of the South African National Defence Force from the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo has begun. The withdrawal process began on Tuesday following the directives of the South African Development Community, heads of state, following this decision taken at a summit meeting. Joining me now, I'd like to welcome the Head of Communications from the SANDF, Siphiwe Dlamini. Mr. Dlamini, thank you so much for joining us here on News in Focus on Hilaal TV.
Thank you for inviting me, and good afternoon to your viewers and your listeners.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I think, Mr. Dlamini, let's start off. This is a second phase withdrawal, and one would like to think this is going to be quite a few phases to make sure that the many amounts of South African National Defence Force troops that are stationed in East DRC are done so in a manner which will see them come home.
Yes, I think your introduction is correct. This decision was taken by the heads of state and led to the meeting of Defence Force chiefs of the region and those from the East African region. And they were instructed to start planning and give options on how best the withdrawal will take place. Various teams met at various levels, and they prepared a report for the heads of state and defense ministers, and the decision was then taken that the withdrawal must take place. The withdrawal is going to involve bringing back of our troops, those from Malawi, Tanzania, and South Africa, together with the entire equipment that we had in that region. So we're bringing back the troops, we're bringing back our equipment.
Mr. Dlamini, that part of the DRC, the fighting is still quite, I beg your pardon, quite intense, quite heavy. Is this a right move, especially given that there hasn't really been a pathway forward with regards to peace? So from an SANDF perspective, is there justification for this decision to happen?
Look, the situation, the security situation in that area is volatile. It's not stable. However, over the past months, 2 months plus minus, a lot of intense discussions have been taking place between the two regional bodies, the East African Community and SADC, which also involved the United Nations and the African Union in particular. So there's been intense diplomatic interventions and political interventions, which led to the diplomatic and political process to take place. The M23 and the government of the DRC have met on several occasions, and there's been agreement between the two for the cessation of hostilities, so that we give the political and diplomatic process a chance. So all those that are involved are in agreement that there must be a process that is be followed, which is politically. The vulnerability of the civilians in that region is of course a matter that is being looked at by all the parties involved to make sure that the volatile situation is dealt with.
Mr. Dlamini, of course, when I spoke to you at the start of the year, of course, we saw the tragedy of the SANDF soldiers getting killed by the M23 rebels. Listening to the press conference yesterday by Minister Angie Motshekga, one could take that there is a need to protect not just the South African soldiers, but also its mission within the eastern part of the DRC. When you look at what had happened at the start of the year, surely one has to look at that and say that has to be one of the considerations that were taken for the soldiers to be phased out from here, even though, as you mentioned, there is really a volatility when it comes to that part of the DRC?
There will, in my view, there will not be a void in terms of us pulling out, because remember, there's still MONUSCO, or the UN mission. The UN mission remains. The only mission that is coming out is the SADC mission. And that responsibility still lies with the MONUSCO. But of importance is the fact that both the DRC government, the M23, and all those involved have come together, sat around the table, and agreed on specifics on what should happen to bring about peace and stability. Let me add, long-lasting peace and stability in that region. Yeah.
Mr. Dlamini, thank you so much for joining us here on News in Focus on Hilaal TV. Much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
That's Siphiwe Dlamini, SANDF Head of Communications. Of course, it's a second phase of withdrawal of troops from that part of the DRC. All we can hope for from an African stability perspective is that peace is accomplished, and most importantly, that the leaders can sit around that table and find a way forward to bring long-lasting peace and a way forward for that country, which has been for years been plagued by war and unrest. Do stay tuned. We'll have more for you on News in Focus after the break.